We're serving a king that's an eternal king. We have a kingdom we're living for. We're living for the Lord Jesus Christ. We're not like them. We don't have to be like them. But I'm going to tell you, if your children get older, and some of you have little younger children, some of you got older children, they press on the walls. The enemy begins to, you're going to be weird. People are going to think you're unusual. You're going to say, why can't we be like everybody else? Why do you want to be enslaved like everybody else?
Hey guys, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. Josh Duggar's arrest last week was not only shocking to the family of Josh, but also to friends. Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar were actually at a conference last week at the family conference for the IBLP. The Institute in Basic Life Principles holds conferences annually and throughout the year at other places, but annually in Big Sandy, Texas. And in the April conference that they typically attend, Jim Bob and Michelle were slated to appear to speak.
This is Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar, and we want to invite you to a family conference in Big Sandy, Texas. This is something that we've been going to for over 25 years.
The dates are April the 26th through the 30th, and there's something for everyone in the family. We consider it kind of like an old-time camp meeting with great speakers, incredible messages that will encourage the parents and the children as well.
And they have a campground for motorhomes or campers. They also have activities for kids. There's 2,200 acres. There's a lot of great speakers. It's just an activity for everyone. And so we encourage you to load up your family and head to Texas.
And look at the website at familyconferences.org, and we hope to see you there.
See you there. This is Jim Bob.
On Wednesday of last week, Jim Bob dipped out very abruptly. He told no one, and he was supposed to be speaking later that day, and he was not there. People were immediately sort of confused and concerned when he disappeared without any warning, and then they later found out, like the rest of the world, about Josh Duggar's arrest. Well, now people in the community are starting to have debates, and many, even within the IBLP, are calling for Josh to be purged from their community. So earlier today, I spoke with a source who was formerly in the Institute of Basic Life Principles and whose family remains members of this, who let me know that friends and family are starting to argue about whether or not they should forgive Josh or if it's finally time to call him a reprobate. In the IFB, there are some factions that are Calvinists who believe that there are a subset of people who are predestined for damnation. And a reprobate would be someone who is an unprincipled person or someone who just is not a good person. So there are some people now in this community that are calling for him to be damned and to be purged from the community. My source provided me a link to a Facebook page, and I'm going to block the name out, but it says more preaching against this reprobate. And then they also shared a video before that said this may be the only preaching of the truth regarding Josh Duggar. Now, these are the most, I would say, severe IFB. I mean, you've got people that are like Stephen Anderson and Westboro Baptist who are calling him a reprobate. But you also have people within their own community calling them a reprobate. So individuals that are members of the IBLP who are friends with the family, who have family, they're connected to the family, they're friends with them on Facebook, who believe that what Josh has done is completely outside of forgiveness. And there was a debate taking place on their Facebook page as people argued as to whether or not Josh can be forgiven.
Christians actually fought over the fact that he should be forgiven, he's still saved, whatever. He's never been saved. Right. He's never been saved because a normal person is not going their own sisters. They were little girls. He's a sick freak.
Some people are saying things like this, quoting Bible passages to say that they must forgive because Jesus forgave, while others are saying, quoting passages that suggest that they must purge the evil person from among you, from Corinthians. So as the debate is being warred between the people in the Institute of Basic Life Principles, the Institute and Basic Life Principles posted on their Instagram the following. In our society today, we can definitely see that the enemy of our souls is alive and active. The spiritual forces of darkness are coming against the Christian home and family, and many believers are caught off guard. Using the example of Hezekiah's preparations against Sennacherib, Gil Bates gives listeners some practical ways to prepare to withstand the attacks of the enemy. Watch the full message in the link in bio. They seem to be saying that this is an attack by the enemy in the home, suggesting that what Josh Duggar has done is more or less an attack by Satan, or these are the actions of Satan.
That enemy to come in here, a lot of fears and threats. And Sennacherib uses some of them, but he spoke to the people. He spoke to those under his care, and he said, hey, I want you to be strong and courageous. Be not afraid nor dismayed about this, O king of Assyria, for all the multitude that is with him. Sometimes our children look around, they say, you know, Dad, Mom, we're the only people living like this. It seems like the multitude has got, wait, they outnumber us. You know what? That's okay. We're serving a different king. We're serving a king that's an eternal king. We have a kingdom we're living for. We're living for the Lord Jesus Christ. We're not like them. We don't have to be like them. But I'm going to tell you, if your children get older, and some of you have little younger children, some of you got older children, they press on the walls. The enemy begins to threaten them. You're going to be weird. People are going to think you're unusual. You're going to say, why can't we be like everybody else? Why do you want to be enslaved like everybody else? They can't see that. You've already seen it. You're looking over the wall thinking, man, look what they did to Israel. Look what they did to that town. Look what they did to those other places. But our children can't see that sometimes. So he spoke to them comfortably.
So they want you to watch this 45-minute video by Gil Bates, but here's what the description of the video says. The enemy of our souls is alive and active today. He is going about as a roaring lion, seeking to steal, kill, destroy everything in his path. Rather than sitting by idly, believers must engage the enemy, or they will lose the spiritual battles they face. In this message, Pastor Gil Bates states we're in a war, but we're acting like we're on vacation. The spiritual forces of darkness are coming against the Christian home and family, and many believers are caught off guard. Using the example, he wants you to get listeners some practical ways to prepare to withstand these attacks. So the sermon that Gil Bates gives, or the speech that he gives, is basically discussing about how when your children do something wrong, it is very easy to point out everything they're doing wrong. Remind them of everything that they're lacking. And his message is to focus on, and a practical tip would be to praise what they are doing good to reinforce those good behaviors.
Nobody. That you don't feel like they don't feel like you're speaking too comfortably to them. You know, he spoke comfortably because he had a good relationship with them. You know, there's going to be times we're going to have conflict in our relationships with each other. But you know what? We need to back off sometime and not. Maybe we need to do a little better explaining on the walls. Maybe we need to do a little more exposing of our struggles in life. Maybe we need to be a little more humble. We can't change the wall. We can't change what's right. But we ought to let them know, hey, I want to speak comfortably to you.
So it seems as though, in an indirect way, they don't want to necessarily blame Josh. They want to blame Satan for influencing Josh and saying, if you don't want your children to be like Josh, do your best to praise them for the things that they do well, while guiding them away from what they do wrong.
We can't think of anything good our children are doing sometimes, because all we can see is the bad thing. I've shared this before. One time I was spanking talking to one of my children, disciplining one of my children, and they looked at me and said, you just think I'm no good. I said, what? I said, I think you're doing like 98% great. It's just this 2% I'm trying to help you work on so you don't keep doing it. It's going to hurt you in your life. And if I let this go on, it's going to grow into something way worse. He said, no, you think I'm 98% no good. It's 2%. It's 2% I'm doing right. Now, why would he think that? Was he trying to manipulate me so he wouldn't get in bigger trouble? He was sharing his real heart. Because all I communicated to him, I forgot to tell him all the things I was glad he was doing for the Lord. I forgot to tell him all the things he was doing right. All I could focus on was the 2 or 3 things he's always seems to be a struggle for him, and I'm beating him down. Any father ever done that in here? Oh, man, we look across the street, we see somebody, and we come home. I came home one time, and man, our kids, I'm going to tell you, 19 kids can make a big mess when you're not there.
Wrong. Now, the problem with that message is that obviously you cannot control everything that your child does. And yes, while praise is one thing, this is a very simplistic answer to the overall arching problem. Let's also not ignore the fact that in that same speech, which happened to be what the IBLP was asking members to say, Gil Bates was joking. Well, I don't even know if it was a joke, because he said he was spanking his child, and then he went, talking to my child, disciplining my child, and then went on to admit that he was focusing on the wrong things and trying to beat him down because of it. He shifted gears and said that he wanted to not focus on the discipline, but rather the praise later on in that same talk. But the use of corporal punishment is standard and is a standard practice in managing behaviors and training, as they call it in this institute. So that in and of itself will not stop these types of behaviors. If that worked, there wouldn't be anyone in this world dealing with this. It's just bad advice. And again, seems to be indirectly minimizing the magnitude of what Josh Duggar is facing. What Josh Duggar did is wrong. Blaming Satan is also wrong. Nobody made those choices but Josh to download those images or that material, according to the government. Nobody but Josh made that choice. Some are saying that, you should just be a better parent. You should praise more than you you pull them down. You be, focusing on their strength, and these are, again, not bad ideas. Others are saying he is beyond reproach at this point. He is beyond forgiveness, and what he has done is unforgivable. So some will say you must forgive him because God forgives him. And that is the biggest way the IBLP handles these kinds of scandals. They believe that it's God's responsibility to forgive. And so therefore, if God can forgive, so can you. If God can forgive the indiscretion or the inappropriateness, you too should be able to forgive. It seems as though a divide here is happening, and the cult is aware of that, trying to remind people that they must forgive, reminding people it is only God's decision to judge, while others are saying, no, what he's done is unforgivable. God would never forgive this, and he is now going to hell. Right now, the cult is divided, and don't expect the cult to kick the Duggars out or to, expect them to make some big, huge statement about them, because you know what? This is probably not the first time something like this has happened within this specific group. Their own leader, Bill Gothard, was accused by 34 women of doing things that were completely and highly inappropriate. So this world has bred people that have become abusers, and their own teachings specifically direct them to blame the victims. And it's never the individual's fault for what they've done, because they have been caused to be defrauded. I don't know how they will justify that in this case, because no one was causing Josh to actually go to a computer and download an image. So in Josh's case, I don't know that you can actually say that they are blaming anyone but Josh. And I think some people are finally saying that's true. Josh has no one to blame but himself. So knowing these are conflicting points of view, it seems like the Duggars are going to be losing some friendships, and it seems like this is going to cause damage in all facets of their lives. And yet TLC has yet to make a statement about canceling the show. All right, you guys, tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Bye.